Ready for this to burn your heart? The Chicago Bears are one miserable mistake away from burying their hopes in 2025, and the worst is already in motion. If they don't act today, get ready for another year of pain. We start with a star running back who could be sent to Las Vegas for crumbs. Why is Ryan Poles willing to give away a $24 million investment? And what draft monster hides behind this strategic cleanup? The answer could leave Caleb Williams bleeding or saving the franchise. But that's not the worst. A mock draft reveals that Chicago would ignore the offensive line in the first round to bet on a defensive predator. A 17-sack edge? Sounds sexy, but what good is it if our QB ends up in the morgue? Some SEC name is plummeting, and it could be Poles' last bullet. And as if that wasn't enough, ticket price increase after a 5-12 season? No joke, the franchise is playing with the loyalty of a wounded fan base, while Soldier Field remains a frozen hell without heated benches or dignity. How long will we pay for mediocrity? Are you going to let this happen? Subscribe now, hit like, or the voice of Bears Nation will die in silence. Tomorrow will be too late. What's happening with DeAndre Swift? The Chicago Bears could send him to the Las Vegas Raiders for a 6th-round pick. Let me explain what this means. I ask you this, Bears fan. Do you really think a running back who cost $24 million, who barely lifted 959 yards with an average of 3.8 yards per carry, deserves to stay in Chicago? I say no. Because here, in the Windy City, we don't have time for mediocrity. The 2024 season was a disaster in the ground game, 8th worst in yards per game, an offensive line that did not open holes, and Caleb Williams forced to carry the team without support. And DeAndre Swift? Inconsistent. Yes, I grant you that the blocking didn't help, but do you think a franchise RB settles for gray numbers? Absolutely not. Now, a fan-sided analyst, Terrence Jordan, drops the bomb. The Bears could trade Swift to the Las Vegas Raiders for a 6th-round pick in 2025. A 6th? Seriously? Is that all Swift is worth after his frustrated season? But listen to this. Las Vegas had the worst rushing attack in the NFL in 2024. Alexander Mattison is a free agent, Zamir White doesn't perform, and they desperately need an explosive RB. Swift, with his ability to break tackles in open space, would give them something that, at least, would relieve the pressure on the passer. But beware, this is not just about getting rid of Swift. This is a strategic move. By moving him, the Bears would save $6.6 million in cap space for 2025, money they could use to strengthen the offensive line or bring in young talent in the draft. Does the name Ben Johnson, the new offensive coordinator, ring a bell? Of course! He comes from shaping one of the most dynamic attacks in Detroit. Do you think he will settle for an RB averaging less than 4 yards? I don't think so. Here's my key question. Are the Bears ready to pick a running back in the 10th draft pick? Imagine! A talent like Tre'Veyon Henderson, Ohio State, or Quinton Judkins, Ole Miss, falling to that spot. Wouldn't that be a paradigm shift? If Chicago makes this move, it would be signaling that it wants to reinvent itself, prioritizing youth, explosiveness, and a Ben Johnson system designed to dominate in the trenches. But let no one be confused. If trading Swift for a 6th-round pick seems like a steal for the Raiders, it's also an admission of defeat by Ryan Poles. Did you really invest $24 million in an RB that didn't fit your system? And now you give him away for almost nothing? That, fans, is something to reflect on. And here's my final argument. The Bears can't afford to make another mistake. If they let Swift go, they must ensure his replacement is a star, not another half-baked project. Do you think Caleb Williams, the future of this franchise, can continue to endure a ground game that doesn't scare anyone? I don't think so. And now I ask you, Bears Nation, would you support trading DeAndre Swift for a 6th-round pick, even if it means betting everything on the draft? Or do you think Swift deserves one last chance with Ben Johnson at the helm? What's going on in Ryan Poles' mind? Are the Chicago Bears really considering ignoring the offensive line in the first round of the 2025 draft? Because that's what the Athletic's latest mock draft suggests. And you all know that when Steven speaks, the football world trembles. So get comfortable, Bears fans, because this is about to get hot. According to Kevin Fishbane, the Bears beat reporter, Chicago would not select an offensive lineman with the 10th pick. No, folks! Instead, they would go for Mike Green, a predator from Marshall who led the NCAA with 17 sacks last season. 17! Can you imagine this monster on the other side of Montez Sweat? Dennis Allen would be dancing in the meeting room. But, HUI! What about the offensive line? Doesn't Caleb Williams deserve protection after the season he had? Now, Fishbane isn't crazy. In his simulation, 2-star offensive tackles had already been taken, Will Campbell, 6th, and Armand Membu, 9th. But that's no excuse. Why not trade back in the draft, accumulate more capital, and look for a lineman later? Because let me remind you, this year is full of defensive talent. If Poles trades back, he could get someone like James Pierce, Tennessee, at 16, and add extra picks. But no, in this simulation, they stayed put, and that makes me question the strategy. And here's my problem. I can't believe the mock has Tyler Booker, the guard from Alabama, falling to 18. In what universe? Booker is a beast who would transform the interior line from day one. If Poles passes on him for Mike Green, wouldn't he be making a historic mistake? Don't give me that the Senior Bowl decides everything nonsense. What's more important, a few practices in mobile or 3 years of dominance in the SEC? Tell me, fans. But hey, it's not all bad. Green is an animal. He plays with controlled violence, has the agility of a dancer, and a burst that scares. If the Bears pick him, they'd be betting on a game-changer in the trenches, something, let's be honest, this defense has needed since losing Khalil Mack. Plus, Poles has a history of seeking out brutal athletes in the trenches. Remember Jervin Dexter? Well, now multiply that by 10. But I tell you this, you can't come out of this draft without a top-tier offensive lineman. Caleb needs time to throw, and if Poles repeats the mistake of 2023 with Justin Fields, wouldn't we be doomed to another cycle of what could have been? Imagine, Green gets a sack, but Caleb is on the ground. What's the point then? So, fans, this brings us to the question of the day. What should Chicago prioritize in the first round? An edge like Mike Green to bolster the defense, or a lineman like Tyler Booker to protect their franchise? Comment below with protect Caleb or hunt the QB. And to Ryan Poles, I say this, if this isn't a bad joke. Trade back, man. This draft has defensive depth. Get more capital, grab Booker or that guy Jordan Seaton, and then in the second round look for an edge. But for the love of George Halas, don't stay put at 10. And now ticket prices are rising after a disastrous season? I have news that's going to fire up Chicago Bears fans. Folks, whose bright idea was it that this team, which just finished 5-12 and didn't even sniff the playoffs, announces a ticket price increase for 2025? No, it's not a joke. And believe me, John Greenberg, the Athletic star columnist, is already hitting them with all the artillery in an article titled, Bears Raise Prices as if they won a Super Bowl, not like the disaster they were. And he's right. I ask you, what are they smoking in the franchise? Because, tell me, how dare they squeeze their loyal fans' pockets even more after another pathetic season? The problem here isn't just mediocrity on the field, and it's the gall to think fans will keep paying more for less. As Greenberg says, it's a Bears town, so they can charge whatever they want. Even if they end up losing to the Packers in a frozen Soldier Field, fans will come to suffer. And he's right. Do they think this fan loyalty is a bottomless piggy bank? Because it sure seems like it. It's not just the team, it's the whole vicious circle. Here I pause and throw another question. What do they offer in return? Because Soldier Field is not football paradise. Greenberg doesn't hold back. The Bears guarantee traffic, second-rate drinks, and the annual visit of Aaron Rodgers to humiliate us. And it's true. Has anyone tried parking in that chaos? Or drinking a Coke that doesn't taste like recycled plastic? And let's talk about the cold. After November, Lake Michigan turns into a frozen hell, but not even a damn heated bench for the people who pay their salaries. Is this how they treat those who keep them alive? This is daylight robbery, folks. And the worst part, the Bears know we have no choice. Chicago is a Bears town to the core, but how long will they abuse that? Greenberg makes it clear, if they're going to charge like the Chiefs, at least put on a show that doesn't hurt as much. You know what I think. But it's your turn. I throw the burning question, will you keep buying tickets like nothing happened? Or is this price hike the straw that broke the camel's back? Comment below if you boycott, demand changes. or give up and buy a 4K TV to avoid the wind. And if the franchise doesn't understand that patience is running out, soon we'll see an empty Soldier Field. And deservedly so. I told you. And you? What will you do? Write it down. The Bears Nation has the floor. Bet or loyalty? If the Bears get an offer of a 6th-round pick for DeAndre Swift, would you accept it without hesitation? Or do you think Ben Johnson could be the key to resurrecting his career in Chicago? Swift's future is in your hands. Defense or protection? With the first round of the draft on the horizon, the big question is, would Mike Green, edge, be the tank our defense needs, or is Tyler Booker, the ultimate wall to protect Caleb Williams? Your franchise depends on this choice. Boycott or unconditional support? With the ticket price increase, will you keep filling Soldier Field as always, or is this the moment of rebellion to demand fair treatment? Your silence or your voice will change the game. Join the Bears family. If you want to defend Chicago to the core, subscribe and hit the bell. Comment your answers, debate like a true pack, and be part of the tribe that decides the fate of this team. Ready to roar together?